Okay, so this video is on fasting. Honestly, our bodies were not designed to eat 3 meals a day. When you listen to all my previous videos in the condition section, pretty much everything boils down to diet, and too much diet and too much food has had a massive impact on overall health for us today. Whether it's too many carbs, too many fats, too many proteins, all of these things, we get too much of it. So bringing it down to a more manageable level, or rather a shorter period of time, can have a huge difference on our physiology. There's a big difference between fasting and calorie restriction. Calorie restriction has actually been shown to have not as much benefit, while fasting has had benefits known for thousands of years. The big difference is that when a person who practices a level of intermittent fasting, on the days they eat, they still get all the calories they need during that day, whether it be from 2 meals or 1. So they are still eating the same amount of food and calories as the average person, just in a shorter period of time, because every time we ingest something, our digestive system now has to work. And when there's damage done to the digestive tract, our body can't heal from it. So constantly having something being digested is actually really, really tough for our metabolic health. So we want to shorten that period of time and only eat during certain hours so our body can heal from any foods that actually would not be as good for us. So let's start by going over what happens when you fast. A fasted state is achieved at around the 12-hour mark after your last meal. Of course, this varies person to person, but the benefits of fasting on average start around 12 hours. At this point in time, the body starts to break down fatty acids into ketone bodies, which are going to become the new primary energy source of the body. Side note for the keto-focused people, it can take up to 72 hours to transition to full ketosis. But anyways, the benefit of fasting isn't dependent on full ketosis. But ketone bodies are a much better fuel for the brain than carbohydrates. At the 24-hour mark, the body will begin a process called autophagy, wherein it recycles and replaces old cells and cellular components. This includes the destruction of misfolded protein, the presence of which has been very closely linked to Alzheimer's and other diseases. At the 48-hour mark, the growth hormone levels peak, on average increasing 5 times one baseline levels. Growth hormone is the fountain of youth of hormones, by the way. At 50 hours, serum insulin reaches its minimum and testosterone release reaches its peak. Intermittent fasting regularly reduces the serum insulin, which actually improves insulin sensitivity. Go back to my Syndrome X and insulin resistance for more about insulin sensitivity. By the 72-hour mark, the body has been triggered to recycle and replace all its T cells, effectively regenerating a substantial part of the immune system and reversing immunosuppression. So, types of fasting. We have the 16-8, the 23-1, and the occasional 48 to 72 hour. So the 16-8 is pretty self-explanatory. Fast for 16 hours, and then you have an 8-hour period where you get your daily caloric intake. If you want to find out how many calories you should be getting, this is one of those times where I refer out. An app like Chronometer helps you figure out your calories needed based on your height, weight, gender, and your goals. Whether your goal is to lose weight or gain muscle or both, your caloric take will be different. The 16-8 is the introductory type of fasting, and most people will skip breakfast, which, contrary to popular belief, is not the most important meal of the day. Digestion actually decreases mental activity, so it's actually best to even exercise while in a fasted state and save the meal for later. Think of it this way. You have your sympathetic nervous system and your parasympathetic nervous system. Your sympathetic nervous system is your fight or flight, while your parasympathetic nervous system is your rest, digest, heal. If you are trying to be active, whether it is physically active or mentally active, you are in a more sympathetic state. Whereas if you start eating, you're moving your body to a parasympathetic state, which decreases that physical and mental ability. It's counterintuitive. Now, there are all sorts of tips and tricks and exceptions that you're going to want to do if you're someone like an athlete who's trying to refuel. In those cases, having a very easy digestible supplement is super important. But if you put in something that's hard for your body to digest, you're just going to decrease your ability. So next is the 23-1, or the 1 meal per day fast. Many find it difficult to get all the calories they need in only 1 hour, so this is what you might hope to graduate to after doing the 16-8 for a while. Then there's the occasional 48 to 72 hour fast, and it is a great way to keep your immune system strong. At most, you want to do this 1 time per month. Again, the 72-hour fast has shown to trigger stem cell regeneration of T cells. In other words, the immune system resets itself. White blood cells are fully replaced, and the old ones are sacrificed for fuel. Best practice is to actually push this 72-hour fast to 84 or 96 hours, because the 72-hour mark is only when the stem cell regeneration of T cells starts. Science hasn't yet shown exactly how long it takes for optimal regeneration, so adding an extra 12 to 24 hours is a safe place to start to get the full benefits of T cell regeneration. So those are the benefits. So now let's talk about how to put it into practice, particularly following a 48 to 72 hour fast. Hydration is absolutely key. Refer to my hydration video for proper guidance, but if you start not to feel well during a fast, it is because of a lack of hydration more often than not. Next is what you eat following a fast, and the answer is something easy to digest. An egg or an avocado is best. Fat is the best energy source of the body, and both those foods are relatively easy for your body to break down. Move on to something denser in nutrients once your body gets through that meal 1 to 3 hours later. After that, my best advice is not to ruin it. If you make it past a 72-hour fast, don't screw up all your hard work by eating something really crappy for you. If you can follow a keto-ish diet for a few days after that, you're going to see a massive shift in your energy levels and body composition. It's actually been shown that in a keto diet, you actually extend the benefits of fasts because of that lack of insulin release. When we take in carbohydrates, that moves our body away from ketosis and into using carbs for fuel. It's not a coincidence that our growth hormone and our testosterone hormones increase as our insulin levels decrease. Insulin negates these hormones, and these hormones are massively beneficial for both men and women. Men produce it in much larger amounts, so they have different benefits, but both of them are fat burning and muscle protection or muscle building hormones. Again, the growth hormone is the fountain of youth of hormones, so the more that you can increase that, the better. And there are ways to secrete these hormones through exercise, but I'll go more into that into a future video. People ask me what's the hardest part of a fast, and you know you have an unhealthy relationship with food when your answer is, I'm not hungry, I just miss the taste of food. Or if you're just thinking about eating because you're bored. Don't get me wrong, I love food too. I'm a big foodie, and I've had a number of health problems in my past because of poor dietary decisions and habits. Moderation is absolutely key because we are what we eat. Everything we eat ends up as energy for current cells and building blocks for new ones, or waste. We are either feeding our health or our disease. It's simple, not easy. But trust me when I say that preventing a problem is much easier than fixing it. Some other considerations you want to think about when considering fasting is if you are pregnant. This is one of those exceptions to the rule. When you're pregnant, you gotta eat when you gotta eat. You have to get your calories for you and your growing baby, so do what you have to do. Of course, my recommendation is to make good, healthy dietary decisions when you're eating, because you are feeding you and your baby, and everything you intake contributes to your health as much as your baby's. So it's just food for thought. I know we all get our cravings and you got to do what you got to do, but this is just my health advice with these Atlas Health Guides. I hope you get great benefit from this. If you have any other questions about fasting, let me know, but these are some general rules of thumbs and the benefits of it. Thanks for listening.